Kenoli is the pumpkin Zerg in the bottom left. Going to be going for... just a K-Grin. Okay, I was a little excited. And going for a pool open, we've got the green Zerg of Art of Turtle in the top right. We are on Macroglia for our first matchup here. And I'm looking forward to this EVC. I feel like there's a potential for Kenoli. You look at the seeding, though. Number 3 versus number 7. AOT is a heavy favorite. Kenoli upset Doglived, but it was a pretty one-sided affair based on the fact that Doglived was going for a fairly aggro set of plays. And that just maybe weren't practiced enough, you know what I'm saying? Now, we do have Kenoli moseying on up here to see that it is a pool into Larvosk. His own Larvosk should finish a little bit sooner. And he's just being a nuisance. He's just being a nuisance. If you guys are wondering how to contact Kenoli now, you'll have to hop into our Stoat server or our Steam group because he decided to say goodbye to Discord, and for good reason, you know what I mean? But we are thinking about also moving over to Fluxer. It seems like a better spot. I'll have more formalized announcements when that comes, but I just figured I would note that Kenoli is not able to show up in the community that we all are currently in because he is elsewhere right now. But that's okay. So, we have the pool finished up. A Circuit already defensively as expecting that pool first for AOT to show up into something a little bit more aggressive. I don't know. It feels like the early Circuit feels like a pretty heavy committal defensively, especially since his own unit's finished up in time anyway. But AOT can't fight against that, that's for sure. And so he's actually going to get sort of stuffed here immediately, losing a bunch of his Zets on the way back. His second Larvosk is done, so he has the larva advantage. Let's see how he deals with all of the Zerg moving across the map right now. It's going to be an interesting thing for him to deal with for sure, because I don't think he's actually got a lot of units out ready. He's going to have Quas hatching. He's got these Zets to try to buy time, and he abandons his ramp. I think that's pretty wise. Try to come back in to it when he can. Yeah, it looks like I guess that was enough to force Kenoli back. I really thought that would take a little bit more of a bloody turn with a proper skirmish against it. But looks like he's going to try to push his opponent away. AOT's seizing control of his natural area. And his Vornath is finishing up back in his base. So that's an important little factor as well. We just have Larvos number 2 finally coming online for Kenoli. And the one Zeth coming in here to see if it can be a nuisance, but... Oh, not quite enough to kill that Droleth. Man can dream. No expansion for either player just yet. Kenoli has the money in the bank to perhaps do that. While I've got you guys here, I should mention we're working on re-implementing how music works in Starcraft's engine so that we can have our own little bit of customizability there. And I definitely think it'll be fun to have the music randomly select from, randomly build a playlist that loops from all active races in a match. And so obviously this would just be Zerg music instead of the Terran that we're seeing or hearing right now, but that's just a little idea that we were having. Just make it a bit more out there. And then obviously, you know, having user configurable music, if you like the Zerg music but you play Terran or whatever, you being able to do that in your config, I think that would be nice. Give you a little something. Nominally, it's to allow Ascozi music to be played in-game for the Ascozi race, but it gives us other features too. So, shout out Jesse for working on that. Now, the expansion is coming for AOT, as well as a Hydrith Den. Kenoli, meanwhile, is just going for his own Vornath. We have those Nathracors sort of patrolling the area, and they are going to dive in and do a little bit of a sweep. There's a bunch of burrowed units over here that are going to strike immediately, and so these Nathracors aren't going to be able to accomplish too much, but getting a scout off is worthwhile, and actually they all survive. That's surprising. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought probably 2 of them were going to die. Kenoli not able to chase and pursue. We do have a couple of larvae down here in the natural, not turning into anything just yet, despite the money, and some workers are being made. So going straight up to the Kalkir Lake, wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing some Nathracors preemptively made, but if we don't, then we know Kenoli is planning on a pretty big Lyrilusk attack. And that could overwhelm the forces on the ground. But Iziracors are coming. So don't expect your Zethacors to be able to accomplish too much. Nathracors are sighted. They do a little bit of heckling. if you attack with your Nath and then start flying it away, you get the Adrenal Frenzy proc, so you end up getting a little bit more movement speed. Kenoli's surging around. Even though his tech is about to finish, Kenoli wants to give this a go. I'm not so sure that he should, especially as he spots the Azure cores. I think he needs to start falling back. Nice little concave that he ends up forming almost incidentally by his pathing there. So that's pretty neat. And he does pop most of the Nather cores in the process, only one of them staying alive. But he loses a lot of his front line in the process. Ski backed on the way already for AOT. Would not be surprised to see Bactyls here. Some Zergs think that Teth Zora cores are like the be-all, end-all in this matchup. I think that, they've been adjusted a lot since that opinion was founded, and so I'm not entirely sure that it is the Teth race still. But if that is still the win condition or a win condition in this matchup, I mean, Kenoli's down a base, so of course him being down tech isn't particularly surprising. But it looks like he's made the evaluation that he needs to move across the map and just win the game based on that. And if he ends up abandoning his front post here and these Zethra-Core run-bys continue and make it all the way into his main base, yeah, he's got the one circuit. It's super exposed. I really don't think he's going to be able to defend it. So it does depend on the timing here. If AOT comes in with all of these Zeths, he scouts out the Lyras, so that's a little bit of info for him. But if AOT, successfully keeps these Zeths around in the map, then is Kenoli going to feel comfortable moving out on the map? I'm not sure. Well, he is surrounded, so I think these Zeths are going to be taken care of just fine. Kenoli can now start making his way across. We don't have the Khazitras, which is what AOT typically puts there inside the natural. Going for, instead, a bit of a... Oh, he's going to go for the Khazitras down here. Okay. I was going to say that's a little bit different. But even though it's going to finish up in a moment here, the army of Kenoli is still a little bit on the deadlier side. Is it going to be quite enough to break through what AOT has? He's going to dive forward and see if he can break apart the circuits, but as that Khazitra finishes up, it's going to start spreading its influence ever wider. Extra attacks afforded to all of AOT's units. Still, it's a bloodbath over here in front of the static defense, but it looks like the Azira cores will hold. Expansion only now coming up. No distance mining even right now for those units. He could send them to the middle of the map. They'd get something at least, but that feature of Macroglia going unnoticed, unutilized right now. And the swamp is on the way, so Teths are going to be available. Not really relevant to this matchup right now, but Vithralisks, the Devourer equivalent, are going to be available. And Arbuz in the chat chiming in. He's adjusted his Teth opinion. Now it's Ultra Core. Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some. So I do think that with Kenoli going for the Shroud, perhaps he's buying into the hype there. But this run-by will be quite successful. All of Kenoli's units are out of position, and that Kagran has to be canceled. The mining has to be pulled away, and this hatch goes down, and it will. There's nothing to defend it. That might honestly just be GG. You might just save your energy here. Kenoli's a stubborn guy, and I guess he doesn't expend too much energy, but... Is he going to... even keep fighting after that? That was a great maneuver from AOT. It feels academic now to see what happens after this. Pops in here, scouts out all the tech as well. He sees that the Shroud is coming. No need to go after workers. His economy is so much worse right now. Pretty big oversaturation on both these bases, so there is that as well. Wild scenes. 26 Zeths and 2 Teths are about to pop. Zeth and Teth. Zeth and Teth sounds like they're pretty similar, but then you look at the 2 units and you're like, holy shit. What's the Z for? 0T? Get it? Get it? Well, Kenoli's going to have quite the hell of a hold ahead of him. Zori's coming out, but some time away from being able to waddle up to the front line and provide support. I just don't see it happening. Sort of wiggling around here. Let's see what can happen as he tries to dive forward. Well, Lyralis getting caught there. The Teths are going to get to close the distance, and how are you possibly going to defeat them? Here come all the Nathracores as well. There's a little bit of splash damage from the Lyralis Cantier, but There's just not that many units over here, man, and the hatch finishes just in time to get splattered and sliced. Sliced and diced. Yeah, the Zoryus aren't long for this world either. Some more Lyrilisks being made. Desperation here for Kenoli. Hatch is destroyed for the second time. No mining for him at the natural, and... well, his Lyras are going to get spawn camped here a little bit. They do clear out all of the air units at the very least, but there is nothing to stop the cleaving of AOT's ground army. Powering up to a Game 1 win. GG. Kenoli concedes. Not that he had much left before it was an eliminatus. That is our first game. Let's see what's behind door 2. Lads, lads, lads. It is time for game 2 between Kenoli and Art of Turtle. We've got Pumpkin in the top left and Art of Turtle's green in the bottom right. So, same colors, but very different map. Monazite. Kenoli made this map. Kenoli picked this map. Will Kenoli win this map? It's an island map, so I'm very interested to see what ZVZ looks like here. Fastest access to transports out of any race in the game. But nobody needs to start with it. Hydrathen going to be the opener here. Kenoli going to open with an extra bit of larva. And then it looks like he's going to be going for the pool. Man, back in the day on island maps, Zerg was the most busted because the Shroud gave access to Gorger cores without you needing to upgrade it. So, yeah, you could conceivably do like Gorg Rush and have it be your first combat unit, and it wouldn't be that slow. So, it wasn't exactly... it wasn't uncounterable, but it was really hard to expect it. And if you expected it and countered it, then what if there's ground units instead? You know, it's just not the healthiest. Not the healthiest. But speaking of staying healthy, I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we'll see what's coming up in these strategies. Take that opportunity as well to remind you guys we are raising money for a 2 versus 2 cup. It'll be a fun time there for sure. So if you want to donate towards that, it is streamlabs.com/pronogo, the best place to send your moolah. You can also go to our coffee page and donate there monthly just to support general project development. You get some pretty cool behind-the-scenes looks and updates and, you know, a dedicated chat channel, maybe a little bit of input if you want to make your voice heard about the game. Certainly a more exclusive club than just chatting in the rest of the Discord server. Looks like both players had it in mind to go for an Izira core drop here. Or rather, a drop in general. So there's Izira cores and Quasilisks going to be changing hands. And Kenoli's making more combat units, but AOT is not. AOT is making the Larvask. He's actually been pretty far behind on Larva because he went for, you know, the Avaleth into Droleth, but he didn't actually use it for anything. I don't think his build order is superbly articulated here. I think this is looking pretty good for Kenoli. You know, Izira cores do beat Quas quite handily, but when they're in the mineral line or whatever is going to happen there, it's going to be a little bit hard to follow. So we got a couple of Hydras coming out here, but not in great quantities. And unloading the Quas right in the way, yeah, that's an easy picking. Izira cores also not actually attacking whole hog into those Quas. Well, trying to charge forward. It looks like another Hydra is popped. Got a few more coming. Oh no, those are Izira cores. There's only the one Hydra to defend. A lot of Droleths being killed over here. Multitasking not great from AOT right now. It does look like another Droleth is going to go down. Only 5 workers in the main. But how much damage can AOT do in response? A lot of Droleths are fighting. Not a lot of Droleths are dying. Hold on. Oh my god, every one of them goes down. Did he even lose any workers? I don't see any Droleth corpses. AOT's Avaleth leaves in shame. He only killed a couple Quas, that's it. And he lost just about everything. Now, no expansion just yet. And his Avaleth is too far away to load that Droleth back up to help mine over here or whatever you might want to do there. Not exactly any opportunity to go for anything else, so... There's a couple of burrowed workers that you can basically count as temporarily dead workers. They need to be resuscitated. There it is. Kenoli injects them with Lazarus Agent or something. Honestly, pretty wild situation. Wild scenes. Now, 2 IZs and a Hydra. But there's no drop being exchanged here, is there? Oh, there are. Okay, never mind. He's just got so many units compared to his opponent. But he also has a lot more money. And so again, AOT is going to end up sending most of his army away. Or half of his army, I guess, because more Aetheric Cores are coming. Another Ovaleth comes out. Looks like he's going to go for his own expo. He's got his quas scattered to the winds. And he's unloading his units directly on top of the Aetheric Cores there. Now he's going to try to go for it again. And yeah, his quads actually do get caught up here, but they almost kill an Aetheric Core. More workers are going to be going down here. It's pretty painful in ZVZ. 2 workers dying. Trying to kill that Larvosk here, but one of the IZs goes down immediately. The Hydra is the next target, of course, because of its lower armor. And now we will see maybe an attempted stop versus this expo take. But the quads come out. I love the burrow, by the way, like in full view of the Ovaleth that is a detector. What a bizarre looking set of events, honestly. Very strange. Only on island maps would you get stuff like this, I tell you. Now, one Aetheric Core is still technically here, but I'm not sure that Kenoli will see that. No, now he will. AOT will see it at the very least. He tried to catch him with Aetheric Cores. I could have told you that wouldn't have worked. That's like, not from personal experience, I guess. It did remind me, though, of the scene in Napoleon Dynamite where the guy gets a scam trying to, like, go back in time to play football or whatever. And instead he just electrocutes his balls. Yeah, that scene where he's like, I could have told you that. 18 quads, though. That might work. 1 Skithra Core. AOT trying to play from behind on the island map. Going to go ahead and Maynard some workers via the transport. He's got 2 idle over here, though. Circuit is going to help out quite a bit, honestly. Although I actually don't know how many quads it takes to kill a circuit. Probably not as many as you'd think. Only has 1 effective armor versus them. But that's still pretty good, because that still reduces their damage from 6 to 4. I don't know. Divide 275 by 4. Get the number of attacks it takes. Then divide that by the... Multiply that by the cooldown, I guess. There you go. Now we know how to do math. He's gonna come in. I feel like with the Aetheric Cores and the skits here, this is enough to make Kenoli reconsider his drop. But maybe I'm wrong. Does feel like this is a little wasteful. It is all within the fighting range of the circuit. 1 skip has gone down. Wow, the Aetheric Cores are going to be next. Yeah, those will all die. He changes his target there. He could have killed that last one, but yeah, not very good. Now, he did unload some quads to walk down here. Maybe at best they can kill a worker or whatever, but there are defenders over here. So, oh my god, he actually sniped the K-Grid. I was not prepared for that. So, that's pretty funny. They did get a worker kill. It was a slightly more expensive worker. And I ain't talking about an Agrolith. That's a good question, Godwe. He asks, did I win? Well, you weren't even on today's stream, so you tell me. I didn't shit talk you because you weren't on my stream, so does that count as a win? Hope you're doing well, dude. The 4 skits are kind of patrolling the map right now, trying to establish some form of air dominance. And AOT has actually gotten back into the game as far as worker count, and maybe it could be argued larva count as well. Definitely behind, but not as bad as maybe it would initially think. I guess if he goes for a Skith mass, it might be a little bit of a challenge for Kenoli to counter that, but he is going for the Vornath. Eventually, when he gets to Calcure Lake, he can go for his much-needed set of Lyralisks and just kind of shut it down that way. Or perhaps more likely, he'll just go Calcs. This is an air map, an island map, so air units do make sense. Pretty big quads drop going to be attempted here. What would be a second Spraith is not quite ready to morph yet. He burrows, but there's still plenty of spread damage we can do here. Kenoli narrowly still has a worker advantage. Just kind of goes to show you his dominance here. This is buying a little bit of time. The unburrow from the Ovalets is going to scramble the quads into position. Buy time for that spray. Second one does end up finishing. Workers end up unburrowing for just a moment. And then, yeah, they will take some damage here, but just trying to relocate into a position where the skits can't kill them for free. And so, back to mining they go. Kenoli adding more workers. And he will end up potentially thinking about maybe just marching across the map. So, one thing that I should mention, I just said this is an island map. I didn't really elaborate. Your mains are the only islands, I think. I think everything else, all of the other bases on the map, are accessible by land. So, kind of a cute idea, where as soon as you drop to the low ground, you're good. You know, it's a land map. But it takes effort to get to that point, where you have a lot of production on the ground and it turns into a ground map again. So, I like the idea of it for sure. I think that's like a really cool idea, the concept. A really cool concept. I'm not sure if this is everybody's favorite articulation of that concept, you know, execution-wise. But I think it looks really cool. Now, I'm saying that from the perspective of the commentator, of the spectator. Also, Kenoli really needs to fix his gas mining here. Both players looking to expand. 12 and 6 going to be the targets. Damn, we're actually going into a macro game on Monazite? Hell yeah, dude. Macroglia, Macrozite. Macronazite. That's what I say. Ovelette scouting around. Don't see really any movement yet. These three skits are going to be on the minimap. 15 Lyras being morphed on the low ground. He's just elevatoring units down. Kind of what you have to do when most of your production is up here. But, you know, makes sense. Never ended up making that into a Spraith in the bottom left of his main, but the Quasar are still guarding things. Reinvestment into skits has been scouted. We're going to need to see some more anti-air soon. Still no actual expansion down here at 6 o'clock for AOT, though. He's been making macro hatches and not much else. He's going to dive in here. Oh, the Teth drop. Oh, that's not what we expected. Immediately, he's going to need to do some kind of reaction here. Look at this. Maybe we just evacuate the workers. That seems to be something that Kenoli is considering. He doesn't have any tech over here, though. I don't know. This is not looking so good. I thought Kenoli was going to take the whole game, but he doesn't want to elevator his combat units back up. He just wants to go for some kind of survival play. This is a little bit dangerous. Those skits are doing a lot of damage. Remember, he's got his own Ovelots here for detection as well, so the burrow doesn't really help out that much. Still, the skits won't really be able to do too much here to defend, and it does look like, while AOT has gutted the main base of Kenoli, Kenoli is going to take care of everything down here on the low ground. No questions asked. Even his Lyras can just punch up here as well and kill those ground units, so we are going to get some Zeths made inside the main base. We are going to eventually have to see that tech get rebuilt as well. That macro hatch really screwing things up pathing-wise as the units are trying to get up to the high ground. They need to just right-click stuff. Oh. Probably OBS, I guess. Lucy's the admin, so... Yeah, there you go. Confirmation of it. So, all good there. Shout out to Lucy for the admin. And he's just going to get their POV, I'm guessing. It was too exciting, guys. Macro game on Monazite? No way. I have to have a little kerfluffle there in the middle. But Iziracor's get elevator down and try to stop this attack from wreaking havoc everywhere. The multitasking has been pretty intense. And it does look like the army was routed over here courtesy of some Zeths. Zeth beat Teth? No way. Wow, and Kenoli's still going to go ahead and clear this out despite AOT's best efforts. He is making 9 Teth Zoracors. I think he's going to be fine. He's got a lot of drops available to him. And yeah, this is the big crucial difference here. Oh no, the expansion stays alive just barely. Does it? Where are the drops going? Oh, okay, it's going to be a counterattack. So I'm not sure if Kenoli deliberately left these alive, but I was told that this is the functioning version of the replay. And you know, these resources floating, I mean, that's not that surprising, actually. That doesn't bamboozle me too much, to be honest. Still making more units, still making more workers. Are we just saving up all of our money for the calcs? It looks like it. Makes 4 initially. Coming up to attack. The calcs are not done yet. Do we have any ground army? Okay, the rest of the army immediately responding, being pulled from 6 o'clock to try to defend this. Ends up remorphing these K-Grins and stuff. Yeah, Kenoli's got a lot of money in the bank. This is like Kenoli, but maybe a little bit unlike Kenoli, if you know what I mean. So I'm not so sure that we have the most functioning version of the game. But he pulls his workers, and he's trying to kill the Teths with calcs, which is a little bit questionable. Oh my god. A Nath versus Teth fight. Still, it looks like this army has been routed. See how, oh, well, he's got one Teth up here that he might not have noticed. See how soon that ends up changing up hands. I do think we have a slightly broken version of the replay. just slightly. But it does look like the exposed eye for real, you know what I mean? And I guess we can surmise that there were a lot of Nathrakors turned into calcs that didn't quite happen in our version. Oh, that, well, while I was grabbing the replay in the background, that actually looked like a real fight, and then AOT dropped the GG. Well, okay, never mind. That actually was pretty close to what we were expecting out of that. All right, lads, it is game 3 between AOT and Kenoli. We are tied up 1-1. Just a note, I did check Kenoli's version of the replay. It looks like we were using AOTs. They both had the same issue. My working theory there is that was basically what Lucy was seeing, so we were seeing the spectator POV, and that was just what got serialized to the replay for everybody for whatever reason. Caches are weird, dude. But we do have a confirmation that AOT did drop that game, because for him, the armies were bigger. You know, Kenoli ended up surrounding him and picking him apart with all the Naths and stuff, so unfortunately we didn't get to see the actual bona fide, certified Angus beef ending of that, but we are done with that game on Monazite. Was a banger to see a macro game there. And now we go into some pool action. Pool first for both players. And it looks like Kenoli in particular being a little aggro with it. We are on Magnetron, port of Tokamak from Starcraft 2. This is done by yours truly. Map by Pronago. However, what was the first map we played on Macroglia? That's a Biddy map. So we're seeing Biddy, Kenoli, and Pronago so far as map authors. I can't remember who originally made Tokamak, but I credit them in the map description. So nobody goes uncredited around here. Accreditation is pretty important. I can't remember everybody's name personally, but I wrote it down. So Kenoli is going to be going for his Zeth attack. He's got a Larvosk just about ready to go. Yeah, queued up almost immediately after the K-Grim pops. And AOT's is faster, but that's because his pool was a little bit later. And they're both going to be going for Zeths. Now, Magnetron isn't the shortest rush distance out of all things, so I don't know. Also, just to note, the word Tokamak is like a real engineering term. It's pretty cool as a name. I find it interesting, you know, layered, nuanced, subtle. Terran Tokamak also sounds pretty cool, so maybe that'll be like a factional structure or something. So Kenoli's Zeths come in and announce themselves firsthand, beating them at the ramp of AOT. All the way out of his natural, though, so he is going to be diving backwards. He's got his own circuit starting up. I think this is supposed to be a Larvosk, so the fact that that's been forced already does feel like a victory. He couldn't cancel it in time. I think when you break all of that pressure, you're actually thinking about popping a Larvosk there instead. But it's all right. That's not something that AOT wanted to do. Now, the Zeths didn't quite get very far. I don't think they clicked on that to see that it was a circuit. Kenoli might think he's actually a little bit behind here, but I would favor his position overall. His own Zeths see the army leaving. He's going to make a round of Drillets and then some Zeths of his own. Should be in time to prevent this attack from doing too much. The Quaz standing vigil at the ramp. Popping one Zeth and not quite the other. Not quite. Indeed, the Zeths do indeed pop right in time to defend that circuit that's about to pop. the birtheth circuit. And of course we have more Droleth on the way for both players, so AOT has a significant worker advantage right now. We'll see if that holds true over time. But Kenoli's catching up just now. His round is done. Shroud goes up. Oh, Shroud goes up and Shroud goes down. For both players, we are going to see Zorius, maybe some Lakes. And if that Zeth had stayed alive down here, that would have been pretty nice. No can do, however. So Kenoli cannot keep watch on the expansion timing of his opponent. Zeths are going to run past the circuit and see if they can get any damage done. So far, they've done a little bit of economic harassment, you know, lost mining time and all that, but it doesn't look like any workers will actually go down. And Kenoli's within 3 of his opponent. Now, they both are going Shroud, but only AOT knows that they're both going Shroud. Only one Zeth kept alive. Ooh, narrowly ends up escaping. And a Hydrith then. Whoa, he canceled it. It was so close to completion. He canceled it to make a Hydrith. So trying to be tricky. I mean, I know the temptation. I am a tricky player myself. But sometimes you trick yourself, man. And losing out on tech that late into the game. Not like he's got a Vornath to fall back on either. So the hatch goes down for AOT. And we are going to end up with some Lakes for him. He's foregoing the usual Zorius starter. Thinking that, well, what he needs is damage to try to get through the meat of what Kenoli is likely to throw at him. I mean, I know, I talked about certified Angus beef and all that. And that was for a reason, guys. That was for a reason. The meat is coming. And as the Larvosk number, 3 comes up, we might even see Larvosk number 4. Kenoli's got a pretty good gas bank here. Is he going to want to go for any Bactyls anytime soon? I feel like that's a possibility. Bactyl with Avaleth is pretty good against just straight up Lakes. It struggles versus the Zorius, but you can maybe go for Hydras into that. Ends up being a defensive circuit. We got Burrow on that expo timing. Keeping watch. Kenoli has favored these more one-base oriented plays if you think about game 1 and now this game. Macroglia, he was on one base for a really long time. Zeth run buys from AOT ended up killing his hatch. Now, no expansion for him yet. He's going to clear that burrowed Zeth and then maybe think about moving across the map. We already have a Zeth run by queued up, however. And even though he's got double circuit, you can still come around here, kill this Larvosk down here, you know, do annoying, tricky things. Those could even just meet up with an Avaleth later in the game if he wants to transport them in there. But the run-by can definitely get some value. So we'll see. Avaleth coming for AOT. Ski back for Kenoli. Has some Hydras with this army that he can turn into Bactyls. No Zorius yet for our green Zerg. Oh. It is an Ultra Core race. Single Zeth moving up here for AOT. Confirms the hatch. Starts to heckle it. Rest of them are going to come in as reinforcements. Kenoli's not too bothered by this. Presumably he's got 4 Izir cores finishing up, so he can go deal with it that way. And he's going to start making Bactyls right on the front step of AOT's net. Yeah, the Izir cores are going to be more than enough to deal with this. Lakes are spotted. No Avaleth here for Kenoli, so this is a bit of a problem. He has no easy way to make magic happen here. I like the idea of AOT trying to pick that hatch, but versus all those Izir cores, it was never going to work out. 3 Zorius on the way. Avaleth of his own. AOT is going to be more than happy to do some damage here. But his Zeths are just getting annihilated. They're just going to get flattened, basically. Almost none of them making it out alive. Out of all those, he only has 7 left. And re-up with the 4 out there already. Feels like that's a pretty bad turn of events for AOT, actually. But again, we don't have any detection over here. I think he's going to be fine. Especially with Ultra Cores all the way. Skith's coming up. AOT going to be taking to the skies once again. Or no, that's actually Kenoli. My mistake. I was going to say, wait a minute, he doesn't have a ski back. Trying to go after that wounded hatch. I like the idea. If the Izir cores weren't there, it would work out better. Oh my god. The slimmest of margins, guys. 2 health. Okay. The Avaleth is here. We've got Ultra Cores and Zorius. He doesn't have any way of rending armor. No Vorvs, no Zorius himself. But what if he went Vith? He goes Vith, he attacks the Avaleth. It's great. I swear. Good unit. Let's see what everybody's focus fire here is. The Ultra Core. This is actually going to end up going down pretty early. There's a couple more where that came from, though. Bactals are now being engaged upon by the Zets. Oh, they're getting shredded. Izir cores aren't really in the fight right now. But yeah, the rest of the Ultra Cores are going to come out, and I feel like they're going to be way too powerful. The lake is burrowing. Not really many targets for them, honestly, but that's going to clear out the front. And Kenoli drops the hash. Lucy, once again, getting bopped. Unbelievable. Owned. Well, Kenoli's going to make a lot of emergency Hydras. Lucy is on Linux. There's something there. There's something potentially there. Let's hope for a better outcome on the replay stability than the last time. Now, we do have the Khaz'Trith coming up for him. He is going to try to make some kind of desperate defense happen. We do have 8 Lakas for AOT coming up as well. There will be detection, not just the Khaz'Trith, but obviously there's an Avaleth here. These skits have been banked up in the background. Charging forward. There's not that much armor, and really Rokors were made as emergencies. Here comes the Lakas. The Khaz'Trith is all the way over here, and none of Kenoli's units are actually using it for defense. None of them are helping out. None of them are being utilized. Oh my god, the Ultra Cores are being forced down, focused down by the Hydra count. And the Lakas are all the way at the front line, so that's a little bit painful. Because, AOT's army is not quite synergizing with itself right now. But it almost doesn't matter. I mean, he's still knocking on the door, pounding down the front gate, and Kenoli's got a pretty big bank. His skits are coming in to attack the main base of AOT, who does look back there in time to see what's going on. But I don't think it matters. That hatch is finally dead. The Zets couldn't quite make it happen. And now this throng of Zerg units is moving up. Lake is going to try to range down all these units as they hatch. Skit's still doing what they can, but the units are just burrowed. They've shut down mining on multiple locations, but Kenoli drops the GG. He knows he's been routed. He cannot possibly deal with what AOT has brought to the table, and that, my friends, is a GG. AOT leading. Needs one more win to make it to the grand final. Kenoli, bottom left of Frozen Sylphid. Pumpkin. I looked at it before I actually guessed the color, but he's always pumpkin. I don't think that counts. It doesn't give. I don't get points for guessing pumpkin when it's always pumpkin. You know what I mean? But Japanese Violet up here for AOT, and he is at 12 o'clock, and he is going for a very fast scout to the wrong direction because his pool is coming down very quickly. He wants to see if we can end this very fast. Go for the jugular, the demoralizing effect that can have on somebody. It's almost too much to bear. Starting to get some Vespene, so it's not an all-in mineral play. He wants to go for a Larvosk behind this. And yeah, AOT 12 o'clock and only bottom left. Drolith confirms nothing bottom right. Can now return home safely, and we can get some Zets coming. A little bit out of sync from what we normally see, but that's going to be a lot of Zets. And Kenoli doesn't even have his pool yet, so... Oh, it's a Hydrith. That's why he doesn't have his pool yet. Larvosk into Hydrith. Man, this is really unfortunate. I wanted to start building this one up in the 3-spawn map. Kenoli 1 map away from being eliminated, but he can force a Game 5. How are we feeling about a Game 5, ZBZ? I'm feeling it. But I don't think AOT is. With the Hydrith not even halfway done as the Drolith arrives to reinforce the push with a forward Circuith. It's a little bit too far back, but it doesn't matter. The Zets are here. I mean, what do you even do against this one? You lost your Larvosk already. Full kill on it. The Hydrith not done. The Hydrith isn't going to finish. He's making the circuit. He could make a Larvosk at this point, dude. There's just nothing here. All the larvae being used, and the Hydrith is now targeted. He's going to come back over here to kill all the workers. Kenoli has come to the circuit that was too far away to actually help out anyway. GG. AOT has made it into the grand final, and of course he did it off the back of a ridiculous early pool. Even Lucy couldn't believe it, our match admin. Well, AOT will claim victory at the end of the day, and there were some GGs in there, and then there was that one, which is hype in and of itself, as part of an element of a series. Now we will have to see Arbuz versus Art of Turtle. Which A player is going to make it into the main stages of Acropolis? We'll find out next time.